in terms of betting, in my book, one of the young lads I was at school with, Alan Farthing, we tell the story about him. I talked to him into coming to Dogs, Wembley Dogs, and he'd done his 20. I remember it was the worst night ever. Never bet a winner. I was only trying to do him a turn, but he'd done it, and he's never had a bet since. Wealthy businessman flying. Now, he's never had a bet, but I guarantee you now, at least 3 or 4 times in his adult life, someone had said, Alan, and he'd have gone, fuck that. I remember that Wembley. That night at Wembley Dogs and me that night would put scars on people, pardon you being there, Andy, but it fucking would. And that therein lies the story. Had he turned 20 quid into 40 quid that night, he'd probably still be punting now. And
what about, like you just said, when you were young, you bought the snooker thing, 70 quid.
Oh, yeah.
And then you said again about when you won on the football, just before we started recording, you bought a box. I have this thing that it feels like paper money, and then you just go and spend.
That's partly true. Part of the equation. Everything's on the maths, and that's part of the reason. But the other main, gamblers are generous people. Gamblers are.
I honestly, right, Harry. In November, I won 20 grand on this bet. 4:45, so 12:30, Man United, Rashford scored the last minute goal, and then I was waiting on the rest of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, which I think was a 5-fold. They all come in. 4:45, Jeff Stelling, final result.
Jeff Stelling, yeah.
20. I've won 20 grand at 4:45. By 5:30, I'd spent 5.
Yeah.
I give me missus a grand, I give me dad a grand, I give me sisters a grand, I give me my little girl's mum a grand. And then I bought a box of Haydock for 3 grand for me and the lads to have a Christmas night out. Well, I'd spend 7.5 grand in half an hour.
But that's what you should do, because
do you know what I mean?
They can't, as I said in that documentary 20 years ago, they can't get it back. They can't, no matter how many accumulators you lose in the next 6 months, they can't go and knock on your sister's door and say, give us that grand back.
And you know, the lads, we'd done a Christmas night out in 22nd of December, just gone Haydock, and it was 3.5 grand the box, me and 15 of my mates.
Yeah.
And my mates, I mean, I've got to do with the public speaking, I get to go on events and stuff, and it's nice. So a lot of my mates haven't done that, and for me to be there with all my mates, 3-course meal, as much booze as you can have, good day at the GG's, it was worth it. Like, that's the buzzes you get off gambling as well,
I remember as a kid, my mates were good in the pub. We used 15, 16, 17, 18. I genuinely could go to the pub on a Friday night, skint, and I'd have my 5 or 6 pints. The lads would pay for me, and I'd have my curry. And people say, "How can you do that, Harry? How can you? Don't you feel like a ponce?" And no, because I remember, this. I remember going to White City and having it off, and we'd go and stay in a hotel, and we'd do it all, and it is swings and roundabouts when you're gambling. I never had a job. It was in those days you were treated like filth if you never had a job. He hasn't got a job. He doesn't work. I just did the boards in the betting shops, obviously, and scallywagging. But something you said again. I keep quoting you here when you said you got to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah,
and
it's good that though the fraternity sort of look after you, if you know what I mean. If like when you're not winning,
there is a code amongst gamblers. Don't get me wrong. When it goes wrong, so listen, some people completely. When you crash at the game, you crash at the game. But in terms of word of honour and code of conduct, gamblers are so miles ahead of. I mean, I've never been a businessman, but when I got involved at Coventry and TV pictures and rights, and businessmen will tell you something to your face and complete and utter lie, and it just means nothing to them. I put it in the book and told the truth in the book, and when I rang up and said, look, I'm going to say this, you said that, and it made you look like filth, and they just say, yeah, put it in, that's me. I don't give a fuck. But as a gambler, if someone says, he doesn't pay, or he doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went to Hexham one day, and I think the story, I don't know if it's in the book or not, but I missed the flight back from Newcastle, and I was at a race course that I shouldn't have been at. I bet a 2-7 in the first race, a 7-2 on chance, and it jumped the water. It was a certainty, because the second favourite was the luckiest winner ever at Perth the time before, useless form. Anyway, the horse I bet slid on landing, did the splits, done the money, and I shouldn't have been there. I should have been in Portsmouth, and I lost a fortune, lost over 200 grand, which at the time was just twice as much as I had in the world. But my head completely went, and there was a bastard from Ladbrokes going around shortening up all the same horses I was backing, and it took me 2 years to pay it all off in bits and bobs, wrong place, wrong time, and the worst scenario ever. But the stories go, Harry's done his bollocks, and all this, and if you don't pay at gambling, you don't ever get on, and it's simple as that. It's like Gary Wiltshire when he done his money with Frankie Dettori, the 7-timer.
Yeah.
You know, he pulled up. He ruined himself, but he pulled up every dollar. You know, I don't think he'd pull up every dollar if it happened now. He'd be too old and too wise. But because they were taking prices on that. If I'd have been in where Gary Wiltshire was that day when Frankie rode that winner, I honestly would be wiped off the face of the map, because he was laying Frank Fujama Crest that last day at Ascot. He was laying 2-1 about a horse that 2 hours early, and no one wanted to back at 12s.